Yeah, so more private industry involvement. I think there was a question on that earlier here. We are seeing at ADM, we're seeing the private sector jump in really fast. There's a lot of companies knocking on our door every day saying, hey, we don't even know where to start. You know, our governance has made goals, very real goals, not just goals, but commitments to reduce emissions, and we don't have any way to get there. We're buying products from you, can you help us out? So we've been able to stand up a lot of programs for some major consumer product packaged goods companies, and we'll continue to do so. So I think that's really exciting. You know, if you look at some of the goals and commitments that these companies are making, like Pepsi, like Costco, I keep using those because they're in my network. But anyways, if you look at the goals they're making, they're for 2030, 2035. And there's real math and real data that needs to go behind that. So I don't see these programs go anywhere. I don't see these funds going anywhere. So it's exciting, and I think it's exciting for everyone in this room. The other thing that I see, it's tough. I was talking about a little bit last night over dinner, but we have to be able as an industry to recruit and retain people that are passionate about agriculture and passionate about regenerative ag practices. You know, I firmly believe that's going to be our biggest challenge.
I guess what my take on it is, don't discount each one of your voices. Each one of you have conservation experience. Each one of you have a story to tell. And, you know, whether it's to a civic organization, maybe it's local club, maybe it's an FFA, a 4-H, maybe it's a church group. You know, don't discount your voice, and there's a lot of people that are listening and they want to hear this message and they want to know more. You know, even something that I'm very uncomfortable with is sitting around a table, politicians, but they need to, you know, they're the ones, rules and regulations and laws, and don't be afraid to sit down next to them at a table or go to that conference or attend that conference, because they need as much input, you know, into their stuff. Last week I had a really good conversation at the Governor's Water Conference. I sat down at a table, and it turned out that a whole bunch of them were lawyers working with watersheds, and even though they worked with a watershed, they really didn't know about what ag could do to clean up water, to, you know, create or to mitigate a lot of the issues that they were having with sedimentation, with nutrients in the water supply. So don't ever discount your voice. I think the more we get our voice, the more personal connections we make. You know, just tell your story, and that's something we're not comfortable doing, but we've got to keep pushing. There's a lot of times I don't like being up here. I am very introverted and do not like being up in front of crowds, but I think that we need to have this voice, and we need to speak up. You know, if we're not speaking up, somebody else is going to do the speaking for us. So don't be afraid to tell your story and your voice. So.
But what is precision agriculture? You know, really the summary of that is it's just creating efficiencies on the farm, being a better steward of the land, and hopefully driving profitability. One thing that precision agriculture is not is it's not a one-size-fits-all industry. So if we think that we're just going to look at a blueprint and say, hey, I'm implementing precision agriculture, that's just not the case. The reality of it is you've got obviously different tillage practices, minimal till, strip till, no-till, possibly full-on conventional till still out there. I know that's probably not the topic of this, but that's the reality. We've got liquid fertilizers, dry fertilizers, customers that have the capability of utilizing this data on farm versus having to have it applied for them or by a retailer, you know. So it's not a one-size-fits-all, and that's the nice thing about what we do is we try and sit down and customize and tailor our services to fit each particular situation, because if there's one thing that is a commonality in the precision aspect is there's three things that have to jive to make it work and function well on a farm. It's the logistics, so we've got to have a way to utilize the information that we're providing. It's the economics. We've obviously got to be able to afford what we're trying to incorporate. And it's the agronomy. It's got to be agronomically sound. If we can get those three to work together, it'll work anywhere in the world. Okay, so I better hurry up. Data-driven decisions. What you can see right there, the bottom map, the green, yellow, right? That's your standard yield map. Green is good, red is bad, right? Kind of like equipment, maybe. But what you'll notice, that was tough. I apologize for the red guys. Yeah, apologize, buddy. So what you'll notice is look at our grid soil sample and look at the correlation that you're seeing right there. The left-hand map on the grid soil sample right there, that's our surface analysis, right? The lighter orange color areas are the lower fertility areas. That dark purple area in the northwest corner is the heaviest fertility on the field. And you can see that far south portion of the field is, the entire area is low. There's a direct correlation to our yield map. And then look at our fertility recommendation right there. We've got higher levels in the lighter levels, which naturally, that makes sense, right? But the reality of it is if we look at that yield map and we utilize that yield map as our report card, every year, year in, year out, dryland farm, he's probably chasing 100 bushel dryland corn. That's pretty common. But in this top left-hand corner, he's growing 11 bushel corn, year in, year out. But he's still putting down 100 pounds or 100 bushel worth of phosphorus. So look at the amount of nutrient we have built up in that northwest corner. Now, in correlation, take the green areas, for instance. That green area, if you could read the yield map, I can't from here, but that green area shows that we're growing 180 bushel corn. So it only makes sense. Every year, year in, year out, those green areas are carrying the field. This field averaged 80-some bushel. He wasn't too disappointed with that. He was targeting 100 bushel. But the reality of it is, look at how much more efficient he could have been with his inputs and created that much more profitability to the farm and been that much better of a steward by applying product where he needed product and in the amount that he needed it.
Yeah, so Montag was invited to the IAWA Business Council 4 years ago, so we've been involved for some time. It's really an initiative in which, so a decade ago, this month, Iowa put forth its nutrient reduction strategy. And it's an offshoot of that nutrient reduction strategy to help take those resources or funds that were available from NRCS or USDA and then apply those in a farmer-based system so that it wasn't, so that they were available. So they just simply help manage that. The state has moved from almost no cover crops 10 years ago. I think it was 300,000 or less acres to just short of 3 million acres today. That's a long ways to go. It's laid out that as a goal we need to get to 14 million acres of cover crops in the state of Iowa. So, but it's progress, and it's important to understand that progress is moving in the right direction. Currently getting close to achieving the nitrate reduction that the state was targeting. That's still not good enough. It's simply a goal of where we need to get to. Long ways to go on phosphorus in the state, and that's going to take a lot more implementation of cover crops, nutrient management, but bioreactors and buffer strips and denitrification systems. So it's been a fun group, and they're definitely working hard to advocate for farmers